Hillyard from Beyond 20. Today I'm going to be talking briefly about searching in the Cherwell system management platform. Recently had a client that had an issue with finding users when they were adding an on behalf of to an incident or service request. As you can see here, I'm logged in as a technician to the client, and we have this section that's been added for on behalf of to the system. And this image here is actually a link to go ahead and add an on behalf of. And their problem was when they clicked on this and they wanted to find a user in their customer table, and they went ahead and searched by first name. Had no problem finding that user. However, if they wanted to search by last name, they weren't getting the record back. And the issue they had was they couldn't figure out why that was. So, for instance, Bryce, of course, in the demo database does exist. We know Henry is in the demo database, but they couldn't search by his last name. And they wanted to know why that worked differently than, say, using the related item picker to find a user up here. So, if I went and looked for Henry Bryce here, using the last name, it came back just fine. So why is that different? Well, the reason is that when you use a related item picker, this particular control is doing a full text search of the entire record. So it's looking for any field that actually contains the text that you're entering, which is why you can also search by email address or phone number, any field that's enabled for full text search. When you set up a one-step like this one with a link, and you go to do a search for a user, for instance, I want to find Eric Lambert. Well, if I look for Eric Lambert's last name, I don't see it. And the reason is that when I do this type of search, it's actually only searching the field that I'm actually setting. In this case, I'm setting it based on full name, so it's only going to search the full name field. Essentially, that query is going to look like select all records where full name equals. Well, Lambert is not the field value. Now we can excuse me. We can find Eric by searching his first name, and that's because Cherwell manages to allow us to do sort of a begins with or a like, assuming there's additional text after. So how do we actually search using the last name or a partial name search? Well, in that case, that's where actually wildcards are going to come into play. And wildcards can be entered in two different ways in Cherwell. You can use the traditional SQL wildcard, which is a %sign, or you can use the more commonly known star or asterisk as your wildcard character. So if I wanted to find Eric Lambert by last name, if I just began my search with a star and then typed in Eric's last name, that would actually give me back Eric Lambert, because now it's saying give me all where full name is like anything, any characters Lambert. And I can actually go a step further, shorten it, so I'm looking to any name that has the letters LAMB, Lamb, in the name anywhere. And it's still going to go back and it's going to find Eric Lambert. Similarly, if I wanted to find Henry Bryce, I could do star Bryce. And again, I can also use the %sign. And that will bring back Gina. That % is assumed to be a wild card. So that's the difference between doing a specific customer search against a field versus how Cherwell does searching in the related item picker. The related item picker again is doing a search of the entire record, so it's going to do, it contains any field contains. This search operates much more like the quick search in the task pane, where I could go and search through my customer table for Henry Bryce. And it would come back with his, because there's a field that contains Bryce. Actually, there's two fields that contain Bryce. So it's going to actually go ahead and find that based on the contains variable. I hope this is helpful, and of course, if you do run into this issue and you do want to utilize more full text search, you will need to put a control such as the related item picker into your form in order for you to do a full text search of an entire record. Thank you very much.